Are iPhone prices about to go up again? And will Apple tell us the real reason why? Leaks are pointing toward a possible price increase for the iPhone 17 series. And while the official explanation might focus on new features or a fresh design, the real reason might have more to do with politics than technology. According to a new report, Apple is seriously considering raising the prices of its upcoming iPhones. This would affect the whole iPhone 17 lineup, which is expected to launch in September. So far, we haven't heard any official confirmation, but sources close to the supply chain say this move is on the table, and Apple is trying to avoid one word: tariffs. Right now, tariffs between the US and China are creating major challenges. For tech companies, even though there's been a pause in the broader trade war, it doesn't apply to everything. Smartphones are still under a 20% tariff, and that could get worse. An earlier tariff rate was as high as 125%, but for now, it's temporarily dropped to 10% on some electronics. So, where does Apple fit into this? Apple has been trying to avoid price hikes by cutting costs with suppliers, but according to the report, there's not much room left to save. That means raising iPhone prices might be Apple's least bad option to stay profitable, especially as production costs climb. Here's the catch. Apple doesn't want to blame the tariffs. Instead, it may point to new features or the redesigned look of the iPhone 17 series as the reason for the higher prices. If rumors are true, we could see some major changes this year, including a super-thin iPhone 17 Air, expected to replace the current Plus model. So far, the current prices look like this. iPhone 16 starts at $799 US. iPhone 16 Plus starts at $899 US. iPhone 16 Pro starts at $999 US. iPhone 16 Pro Max starts at $1199 US. We don't yet know how much more the iPhone 17 models will cost, but if Apple does raise the prices, it'll probably try to tie it to the new design or performance upgrades. One big factor behind the scenes is where these phones are being made. Most iPhones are still assembled in China, especially the Pro and Pro Max models. Apple has been slowly shifting production to India, but the report says that India's factories still don't have the scale or technical setup needed to mass-produce high-end models like the Pro Max. For now, it seems that Chinese factories will still handle most of the Pro and Pro Max production, even though tariffs make that more expensive. Shifting large-scale production to India or Vietnam could take years. So until then, Apple is stuck with rising costs and limited options. One investment bank, Jefferies, estimates that around 65 million iPhones were sold in the US last year, and over 36 million of those were Pro or Pro Max models. Can a super slim phone still offer top-level performance without sacrificing battery life? That's exactly the question people are asking about the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, even before it's been officially launched. In a surprising twist, the phone just went up for pre-order in the UK through a major retailer, Argos, and now we have almost every detail ahead of Samsung's big announcement. The Galaxy S25 Edge has been talked about for months, but now, thanks to this early listing, we know exactly what it brings. Let's go through the confirmed details first. It features a 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X display with a sharp resolution of 3120 by 1440 pixels. That's top-tier quality for watching videos, gaming, or just scrolling through social media. The phone runs Android 15 with Samsung's One UI 7 software and uses the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite processor made for Galaxy phones. It comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, though we expect a 512 GB version too. There's no 1 terabyte option, at least for now. What really stands out, though, is the design. At just 5.8 millimeters thick and weighing 162 grams, it's one of the slimmest phones we've ever seen. But this thin build doesn't mean it's fragile. The phone has a titanium frame, just like the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and it includes new Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2 for extra protection. That means it can handle daily wear and tear and even survive the occasional drop. The camera setup includes a 200-megapixel main sensor and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide lens. The front-facing camera is also 12 megapixels. Now, while a 200-megapixel camera sounds amazing, and it probably is, it's a little disappointing that there are only 2 lenses on the back. Most premium phones today offer 3 or 4 lenses to give users more options like zoom or depth sensing. Another area that has people talking is the battery. It's a 3,900 milliampere hour battery, which seems small for a phone with such a large and sharp screen. Combine that with the power-hungry Snapdragon chip, and we're not sure how long the battery will last in real-world use. Fast charging is included, but only at 25 watts, which is a bit slow compared to some of its rivals. So, what about the price? In the UK, Argos listed the phone at $1,099. That's about $1,460 in direct conversion. But don't worry, that's not how pricing works between regions. Experts believe the Galaxy S25 Edge will be priced at around $1,140 in the US for the 256GB version. The 512GB model could cost close to $1,269. It's not cheap by any means, and it's sitting between the Galaxy S25 Plus and the Galaxy S25 Ultra in terms of both features and price. That brings us to the bigger question. What if Apple's first foldable iPhone ends up using display technology that even Samsung hasn't used on its own foldables yet? That's the latest rumor going around, and it's making a lot of people wonder if Apple is actually about to beat Samsung at its own game. The foldable phone market is already full of competition, but this leak suggests Apple might be coming in strong, and with something very different. So, what's the big deal with this new screen? Well, reports say the foldable iPhone might use a thinner and lighter display panel, one made by Samsung, but never used in Samsung's own foldables. If true, that's a pretty bold move. According to a leak shared by the user U122, this new panel would be around 19% thinner than the ones used in current Galaxy Z Fold phones. And that alone could help Apple's phone feel lighter in the hand, something people always appreciate. The key change here has to do with how the screen registers your touch. Most foldable phones have a separate touch sensor layer placed on top of the display, but the foldable iPhone is rumored to have the touch sensor built directly into the display. This makes the entire panel thinner and potentially more power efficient, too. That might not sound like a big deal, but it is. Reducing the thickness of a foldable display can improve not just the weight, but also how the screen folds, how it feels when you touch it, and even how visible the crease is. In fact, Apple reportedly wants to remove the crease altogether, the same crease that's been a constant complaint on almost every foldable phone so far. This new process could also help with things like brightness and color quality. The leaker claims the panel will be brighter than most other foldables and will have better color reproduction too. Again, we can't confirm this yet, but it lines up with what Apple usually tries to do: raise the bar, especially when it comes to screen quality. Another rumor suggests the foldable iPhone could have a 7.76-inch inner display and a 5.49-inch outer display. That's pretty similar to what we've seen on other foldables like the Galaxy Z Fold, but with Apple's spin on it. There's also talk about an under-display camera for the inner screen and a regular punch hole camera on the outside. Now, before you get too excited, remember this is all based on leaks. Some of them may not turn out to be true. The same leaker once claimed we'd see a 2TB version of the iPhone 16 Pro, and that didn't happen. But still, when multiple leakers are saying similar things, like these screen sizes and the possible use of Samsung's display tech, it adds a bit more weight to the claims. And speaking of Samsung, yes, it looks like they might be the only supplier for Apple's foldable display panels. Apple did reportedly consider LG, but Samsung's experience and current production capacity likely made it the better choice. Ironically, Samsung may end up building the display tech for a phone that might outshine its own.